Welcome back to another episode of the Cycle Podcast, a show where we cover 4 trending MLB topics in 20 minutes or less. Joining me today is the very handsome face of Chaotically Intolerant, Alex Boyajian. Alex, it's so good to have you on the show. Josh, you're taking a night off. He is actually scouting a high school game today. As you know, he's a coach in high school down there near you, where you guys live. So he had some other business to attend to. But I don't think we're going to miss a beat. Alex, anything to start off with before we get into the topics?
Go Sox. Royals and Sox this weekend. I'm very excited for that. It's going to be a good test for both teams, I think.
Yeah. Well, we're 3-0 so far on them. We took them down today. We got one more against them tomorrow, and then we're facing off against your Red Sox.
Yes, so that's what I meant. That's a good test for both teams.
Oh, your Sox. Yeah, see.
My Sox.
New Pope is a White Sox fan. I've got White Sox on the mind. I'm worried tomorrow with the news, is God on their side?
That's true. Is God on the side of the Pope and the White Sox? Does God have... Yeah. I'm very excited for that. Are the Bears going to do good this year?
No.
No.
They're not. No.
Not even God can intervene into the Bears. Not even the Pope. Wait, hold on. Do all Chicago sports teams bring the Pope on? Do they say, listen, we want you as kind of an honorary... Yeah, does he lead the prayer every week, or like do some sort of prayer thing with those teams? That could help a lot.
Yeah, he's first American Pope, and I want to see how much sports does he attend, because
has the Pope downed a couple hot dogs and a whole Mad Dog 40? That's my question. Does he know what Mad Dog is?
We got to get him on the show. Guys, somebody get the Pope on the line. We're going to get him on the show. Hosting next week, Pope Leo. Is it Pope Leo the 14th?
I don't know. I do not know what his Pope name is.
Interesting. Well, it just happened today. So cut us some slack. Leave it down in the comments if you've got any Pope topics you want to discuss. But with that, before we run out of too much time, let's get into our first topic. Our first topic today is, how low can the Rockies go? Obviously, they are off to a historically bad start, as bad, if not worse, than last year's White Sox. And what interests me, in a story I've been following for years now, the Rockies' just inability to put together decent trades for players that are desirable for other teams. Obviously, Ryan McMahon has been their all-star representative in past years. He's, I don't think, an all-star, but obviously you got to have someone from every team. And teams have called the Rockies in recent years regarding him, and they have refused to move him regardless of how far out of the playoff hunt they are. And last year, I would have expected them to get a handful of decent prospects, maybe a flyer or two in addition to that. But this year, he's hitting below the Mendoza line. So that ship has sailed. The Rockies can't get what they would have once gotten for Ryan McMahon, which brings us to Brenton Doyle. Brenton Doyle, a fairly desirable outfielder this year on the trade market. Do the Rockies do the same thing? Do they continue to hold on to these players as they go through their prime, refuse to play them, and end up with nothing for them? Is this going to happen with Ezequiel Tovar? Jordan Beck, 24 years old, crushing the ball recently. Are they going to refuse to move him? I guess assuming that their window is open in coming years with this core of Tovar, Brenton Doyle, Jordan Beck, Chase Dollander. How plugged into to the Rockies are you, Alex?
I'm about as plugged in as I know it's Coors Field. I love a good Coors Light every once in a while. No. I mean, I don't really understand it, because me and Mike talk about this a lot on Chaotically Intolerant. How the Rockies just have this great branding, right? You look at the Rockies branding. Sometimes they have the vest jersey type of thing.
Sick.
Everything about the Rockies, besides the actual baseball being played on the field, I think is pretty good. They got a gorgeous stadium. I just don't understand the resistance to invest in this team. I mean, maybe it's just playing at high altitude. Maybe guys don't want to play at high altitude. I mean, but you don't really have that excuse, because look at the Denver Broncos. They've won 2 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowls. That team is constantly packing the house. It's a gorgeous stadium. Mile High is amazing. it doesn't make sense. You have the Colorado Avalanche, the Denver Nuggets, all these other teams are able to pack the house. They're able to win in Denver. So please, someone explain to me what is the reasoning behind refusing to invest, refusing to even put in a minimal effort, the bare minimum. I think this is going to be addressed in the next CBA. I think in 27 it's up. We are going to see, I think we'll see a salary floor. And that's, I think a salary floor, honestly, is more important at this juncture in Major League Baseball than a salary cap. Because the problem isn't, I mean, obviously you have the Dodgers who are spending a lot of money, but they aren't, I mean, this is baseball. They aren't running through the league right now. This is a very open race in the NL West. And you have teams like the Rockies and the White Sox, who, I mean, the White Sox in recent years have spent at times. And then you have teams like the Oakland. I still call them the Oakland Athletics. On my notes, I wrote them down as the Oakland Athletics.
Oakland.
I'm still going to call them Oakland even when they go to Vegas. You have these teams who just refuse to spend money. And you can say that it's Moneyball. You can say all that stuff, but at the end of the day, they're still not spending money. Great movie, though. It's a great movie. I don't care what you say. It's still a good movie.
It's the worst
Cinematically, it's a good movie.
It's
still a good movie. I don't care what you say. It doesn't work. It clearly hasn't worked, but it's a good movie.
Yeah. Yuck. But yeah, I feel like because they have Charlie Condon down there in the minors, they just brought up Chase Dollander, that they can sell this idea that they're building for the future by keeping these guys around. I just don't think they can negotiate. I really don't. I think when someone calls them about a Ryan McMahon, a Jordan Beck, someone like that, they just don't know what to do. They maybe aren't tuned in to the prospects on other teams. Maybe they're not tuned into the analytics. But it's been a disaster. And if I was the Rockies or a Rockies fan, I'd say, get rid of these guys. We're already the worst team in baseball. We can't get any worse. And at least we could pack our farm system a little bit. But I think we're going to see here in a month or two, as the All-Star break comes around, trade deadlines are rolling around, we're going to see if they have changed their MO, so to speak, when it comes to being more transactional. But who knows? It's a disaster. It's a disaster class over in Colorado. Our second topic today is going to be buying and selling. These are teams that we may have put a lot of stock into at the beginning of the season that we are out on, or teams that we maybe weren't in on at the beginning of the season that now we're jumping on the bandwagon of. And I would like to start with you, Alex, as a guest on the show. Who are you buying or who are you selling?
Well, I sat here and I prepared for the show, and now I'm sitting here just kind of rethinking everything. Buying, I'm going to buy Oakland, the Oakland Athletics. I mean, listen, they're not going to win the World Series or anything. I don't think, I'm not sitting here saying that, but at least, I mean, if you told Athletics fans, they'd be in the wild card right now. By May 8th, they're in the wild card. I'm buying on them. They can only go down from here. This is about as good as you're going to get. You're very happy. They spent a little bit of money this offseason. So I'm buying Oakland. I'm buying the A's. Yeah, it's you're playing good baseball. At least you're playing good baseball and you're in it. And even let's say they lose every single game from May 9th out, you can at least say, hey, we were in it in May and we at least played some competent baseball, which is something we just have not seen whatsoever out of Oakland. Well, technically it has been out of Oakland every year since then. The other team I'm buying on, they're hot right now, is the St. Louis Cardinals. They just took 2 or 3 from the Mets. They've won 5 straight, and they got Derek Shelton fired. I mean, he was more of just a scapegoat, honestly, for Bob Nutting, just being a horrible owner. But they're in a 3-way tie right now for second in the NL Central. We kind of came into this thinking they weren't going to be a great team. They're going to be just average, right? And Nolan Arenado, I know, is on the chopping block or on the trading block, possibly going to Boston. We didn't get him. I'm fine with that. I'm happy with Alex Bregman. But they're 3 games back at first right now with the Cubs, and this is a team I'm excited to watch down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting contributions from guys like Brendan Donovan. Ivan Herrera, who's a guy I've been watching. He's only played 7 games this year, dealt with some injuries. But in those 7 games, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, hitting 380. Is that going to keep up? No. But
No.
you're getting really solid contributions from guys you may have otherwise not expected. And I still think that division is open. I'm buying the Cubs. I was not high on them early in the season, but I still feel like there may be a little bit of a regression to the mean from the Cubs. I expect Milwaukee to pick it up, but I would not at all be surprised if the Cardinals had a great month and took that division. Their pitching concerns me a little bit, but they do have a little more depth. Guys like Victor Scott contributing, Mason Wynn after having a poor year last year, he's playing a little bit better this season. Strong shortstop. And they have some youth finally. The Cardinals have been for years this old team that brings in guys like Sonny Gray, Lance Lynn. You're relying on Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, just kind of guys that are aging out of their prime. Now they've got a little bit more youth. But my selling team is the Baltimore Orioles. I had them as a sneaky pick to compete for a World Series. Now I have them as a sneaky pick to compete for a high playoff spot. They have one of the worst pitching staffs I've ever seen. They don't have a starter under a 2 ERA. They have starters over a 6, over 9. Guys that they're trotting out there twice a week. Their stars, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, are not playing like we expect them to, like we've seen them in the past, because you know that these
especially
are
Rutschman. Rutschman has been disappointing, really disappointing.
Now, I mean, I always thought his bat might be a little overrated. He's a fantastic defensive backstop. I thought his bat might be a little overrated. I didn't expect him to be this bad. He's just not seeing the ball well. I just watched the series between the Royals and the Orioles, and Henderson did not impress me. Hurstad did not impress me. A guy, one of the baby birds that's supposed to be a centerpiece of that organization, he looked lost. Adley is just not himself. And do I expect them to perform better in the coming weeks? Yeah, I do. But behind a pitching staff that can't keep the opposing team under 7 runs a game, there's not much you can do on offense. It's almost like you knew going into the season that this pitching staff was going to be rough. They didn't address anything. They brought in Charlie Morton. I mean,
old man Morton.
Yeah, broke him out of the nursing home to come pitch for you. They have money. They have so many guys on rookie deals. They haven't extended any of these young guys yet. Why not spend a little bit of money on a competent pitching staff? Top to bottom, it's bad. And it's losing them so many winnable games like we saw against the Royals, where they hit something like 5 home runs in that game, put up 7, 8 runs, and still lost the game to a team in Kansas City that is struggling on offense, which shows you how bad that pitching staff really is.
Yeah. It's a very open American League East right now. We are out of time, but it's still very open. Lucky for them, it's still very open. The Yankees, I mean, they're not. I don't think they're going to be hitting at this clip for the rest of the year.
Aaron Judge might. He might.
Aaron Judge might, but the rest of them, I don't think we're going to see that. Their pitching has not been fantastic. It has not been very good. I mean, Max Fried aside, they are not going to be in first. Maybe it's not even the Red Sox. Maybe it's someone else, but I don't think the Yankees are going to win this division.
Shout out Josh. When you watch this, Josh, shout out the Rays winning the American League East. Our third topic today is going to be covering something that I've heard a lot of complaints about. I'm pretty plugged into social media, what's going on and what people are talking about on social media in terms of the MLB. And one gripe I've heard recently is people complaining about the expanded playoff. As you know, the MLB has expanded in recent years. When I was a young kid watching the game, it was an 8-team playoff. And then they added another wild card. It was a 10-team playoff with a bye. They had the single playing game, which did, by the way, produce some of the best baseball games in the history of the league.
I think that was my favorite. That was my favorite.
2014 wild card. What a game. But now,
I mean, name your wild card game. I don't think there was really like a really bad wild card game ever. Oakland played in a couple of really good. You guys did too.
We walked them off. We walked them off in 14 in the 11th inning. Salvador Perez single up the line. Oh God, best
Yep.
moment of my life. There was a great
sad.
Pirates-Yankees game, by the
You
way.
don't have any
in
other good World
2015.
Series memories or something like that? I have some plenty good
2015.
memories from deeper in the playoffs. Deeper in the
2015.
playoffs.
We
I have a
made
lot
the playoffs,
more.
by the way. The Royals made the playoffs in 2014 coming out of that one-game wild card, which
Yeah.
was brilliant. Now we're at 12 teams. And I like the structure with the 3-game series, 5-game series, then 7-7. It doesn't feel like the NBA where you have bad teams in the playoffs and where you're playing 7-game series after 7-game series, and the NBA playoffs almost feels like its own season. It goes
Yeah.
on forever. And looking at the wild card picture, especially in the National League, you have San Diego, San Francisco, Philadelphia in. Behind them, you have teams like the Diamondbacks, who missed the playoffs last year despite being the best offense in baseball. You have a sneaky Reds team. You have the Atlanta Braves, who I still expect them to compete for a wild card spot. And what you've seen with this expanded playoff is good teams competing until the last week of the season. You have last year the Royals, the Twins, the Guardians, the Tigers, all battling in the American League Central. This year, you're going to have so many meaningful games in the NL West because of the expanded playoff. Right now, you've got the Dodgers, the Padres, the Giants all coming out of that division, with the Diamondbacks one game out of the wild card. So it just is adding way more competitive and way more meaningful baseball without, I think, fans having the sense that bad teams are getting in. If you expanded it to, say, 14 teams, 15 or 16 teams, I think you'd be seeing some bad baseball in the playoffs, like we do sometimes in the NFL as well. Some of these wild card teams, like in the NFL, probably don't belong there. Teams getting in at 10-7, 9-8. Sorry, what were you going to say?
If Roger had it his way, we would have 20 games in a season. And then we'd have if Roger really had it his way, we'd have 50 teams. We'd have 35 games in a season, 25 playoff teams,
and
3 buys. You'd have a 7-game Super Bowl series. You'd have probably a 5-game wild card series, because let's not get crazy. Okay, yeah. 5-game wild card. The playoffs would last 6 months. Yeah. The regular season, you just go right back into it.
Football.
And if you win the Super Bowl, you don't have to play the next year.
Is that not how it feels with the NBA?
It does. It feels like it. I'm going to Boston for a wedding in mid-June. And I did the math, and I said, if the Celtics win the finals, there is a chance I'm going to be there for the parade or for when they win. But the sad part is, I was looking at that 2 months ago. I was like, the NBA season's almost over, and then I'm looking at the finals 3 months away. Like, that's insane. That is insane. It goes on for so long. It's so long.
But the MLB, it doesn't feel like that, because you got the 3-game series.
It's a month. You have a month.
It's still, even with the expansion, it's still a quick. You get in the playoffs and you just roll. There's no breaks.
Yep.
There's no 2-week media days. They've done it the right way. They've expanded to the right amount of teams, and they've structured it the right way without giving the impression that the league is just greedy. It gives the impression that the league wants the best teams in the playoffs. They want competition. They want parity. And to me, that's how it feels, and I love it. We're going to wrap things up today with Who's Hot. So covering a team or players who have been performing extremely well. Of course, as always, we are banning Aaron Judge from our Who's Hot segment because he's hot all the time, and he would just eat up all of our Who's Hots. Josh, I'm sorry, Alex.
Yes.
I'll let you go first. Sorry.
Oh, no. I'm offended now.
I'm too used to Josh.
Maybe I shouldn't go with my Royal. I'll go with both. I have 2 players that have been pretty hot. Robbie Ray. He's given up 1 run over his last 2 starts with San Francisco. San Francisco is right in the thick of it in the West right now. He's got 13 Ks, .69 ERA and WHIP. He's got 5 hits, and the Giants have won 5 of their, or he's given up 5 hits, and the Giants have won 5 of their last 6. This Giants team is, I think I said at the beginning of the year, it's giving me a little bit 2019 vibes, 2019 Giants vibes. Remember that team that won 107 games, then lost to the Dodgers in the first round in, I think, 7 games, or 5 games. But I've always been high on this Giants team, and they are just proving me right. And then Maikel Garcia. He's more my surprise player of the week, a little bit more. He's bursting onto the scene, which you said earlier off the recording. He's 14 for 29, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, a 1,400 OPS, 5 walks, and Kansas City's won 8 of their last 9, including 5 straight. Again, they are in the thick of it as well. They've gotten hot. They had a little slow start. And I would say Maikel Garcia is a big reason as to why they've gotten hot.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've had such a down start from guys like Michael Massey, Salvador Perez, starting to pick things up, but he was slow. Vinny Pasquantino still struggling. But Garcia is a guy who hits the ball extremely hard. He's a guy who barrels balls up a lot. And like I was telling you earlier, last season, he was a guy who was considered a bad luck player. A ton of hard hit balls right to somebody, balls that just didn't find gaps despite being hit 110 miles an hour off the bat. And yeah, he's been a catalyst. Had a triple with 2 RBIs today, hitting behind Bobby Witt Jr. He's been in the 5-6 hole. Bobby obviously hitting 2, but he's been coming up a lot.
Bobby can't do it all himself.
Exactly.
You guys really needed someone.
Yeah. And until Jack Caglione comes up, Garcia is going to have to continue to be the guy. Robbie Ray is an interesting one because you look at him as a former Cy Young, and when San Francisco brought him in, a lot of emphasis on former Cy Young, not so much current Cy Young candidate. But the way he's been pitching lately, he does look like on a good team, he could sneak into that conversation. And with Blake Snell being gone, they just don't. I'm sorry. Now I'm starting to blank on who they lost, and I'm going to feel like an idiot. But there's been some turnover on that staff, and with Robbie Ray coming in, sort of picking up the slack, an offense that has shocked a lot of people with guys like Tyler Fitzgerald making some noise in that lineup. It's looking like they are more well-rounded than we thought they would be, and Robbie Ray has been a big part of that. Now, my team who's been hot has to be the Seattle Mariners. Climbing to the top of that division, competing with the Sacramento, Oakland Athletics. Something I never thought I'd say. Powerhouses in the AL West.
Oakland.
Yeah. The Sacramento, Oakland Athletics. Yep. They're, of course, getting their contributions from that elite pitching staff. George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, Brian Wu. You expect that. What you don't expect is the contributions they've gotten from guys like Jorge Polanco, J.P. Crawford, Kyle Raleigh, I believe with something like 11 home runs, has really come on late. And Julio Rodriguez is a second-half player. He tends to pick it up after the All-Star break. So if you can continue to get what you're getting from those role players, and then Julio Rodriguez heats up, you've got a problem in that lineup, not for them, for the rest of the AL West. Because that could become a scary, scary lineup on top of a pitching staff that at times can be unhittable for 4 or 5 days in a row. Have you had a chance? I know your Red Sox just squared off with them.
Yeah, I get a little nervous about buying into the Mariners a little too early. I know this is their best start since 2003, and that is really something to say, but they've done it before where they fool you. They start out hot and they make you think, oh man, this is the year, right? This is the year that the Mariners are going to be, they're going to be in the playoffs and they're going to go on a big run, and they let you down. So I'm a little hesitant to buy in. They're welcoming the Blue Jays this weekend. I think this is a good opportunity for them to kind of beat up on a team that started hot, and it'll look a little better on your resume when you're looking at them now. Maybe in 4 months we look at it, we say, oh, they beat up on the Blue Jays. Who gives a shit? But right now it looks a lot better for them. The Blue Jays have come back to earth, but they're still not a bad ball club by any means. But I'm a little wary on these Mariners. They struggled with injuries last year in that pitching staff. And again, I know it's almost like a chalk thing to say, but injuries are going to dictate how this Seattle Mariners season goes, I think, more than anything, especially with your starting rotation. Got to keep those guys healthy, especially your big guys like George Kirby. I mean, he couldn't stay healthy last year.
Yeah, and they are getting Dylan Moore back from injury. So they've already been bitten by the bug a little bit. And I'm really curious to see how they move that middle infield around. Jorge Polanco, JP Crawford with Dylan Moore coming back. They could have an elite infield. But like you said, we got to see how that pitching staff deals with the injuries. I don't know who they have. If George Kirby goes down, if Luis Castillo goes down, I'm not sure who their 6 and 7
exactly.
guys are.
What's the depth looking like there?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But for now, even just having 3 of those 4 gives you perhaps the best starting rotation in baseball. So they can maybe afford to lose one. But like I said, if there's a surprise injury to Logan Gilbert and then George Kirby continues to have some of those struggles going out for stints, it could fall apart. But for now, we can celebrate a team that has absolutely been hot. And with that, I think we wrap it up. We went a little over on some of our segments, as we normally do once we start talking ball. But Alex, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to check out chaoticallyintolerant.com, some of the blogs, the Chaotically Intolerant podcast, of course, our other affiliated show, Draft America with Mike Seff. Alex, anything to say to wrap this up?
I'm going to be honest. They haven't put out a show in a while. They have not put out a show in a while. It's been a long time. So, don't go check that out. They're probably not. You're not going to have anything. Mike does put out a lot of good blogs on DraftAmerica.com, though. We're actually doing a revised NFL schedule release this coming week, where he goes based on the old format of Thursday Night Football only on opening night and on Thanksgiving. You're doing the 16-game format, and there's no restrictions in the final week where you only have to play division teams. It is a open field on the final week of the year. So it's pretty cool. He does it every year, and we're going to do a little schedule release show right either as the NFL is doing it or maybe right after.
And then in case we don't have you on the show again, we are still planning on doing a live stream for the Home Run Derby All-Star Game. I'm going to be traveling down to Sarasota. We're going to see if we can get Josh out, maybe a few of the other Chaotically Intolerant guys. So stay tuned for that. Check out chaoticallyintolerant.com. We'll probably be posting something about that as we prepare to all meet up. I haven't seen you in, almost a year in person now. It's been a minute. You were at my house for the draft. I was up there for the ping pong.
Yeah. It's been since August, I think. August or September. George Kirby did not miss time last year with injury.
Sorry.
Unless I'm missing something. So I got that wrong. I think I was thinking of 23.
Yes. No, but he absolutely has in past years has struggled a little bit.
He has dealt with injury. Yes.
Yeah. So there's a minor correction on our show. But Alex, once again, thank you so much for hopping on tonight. We're excited to have Josh back, but we always love seeing you on the show.
Absolutely. I always love coming on.
And
we'll get Mike on here soon too. He's got a good knowledge of baseball.
That. All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see you. Make sure to like, comment, give us a follow. We'll see you next week.